Ahoy, hoy, everyone.
Hey, everybody, how's it going? It is Wednesday.
It is Wednesday.
That's right, because we don't do Monday shows anymore, so it's
true.
Wednesday.
We're right in the middle of the week.
It's true, and
Glad I clarified that.
yes, because I forgot when Wednesday was.
Oh, look at that. Wow, it's so bright in the, you know what? I'm going to go and do a little bit of...
Yeah, there's like a... Yeah, it's like the sun. Like, what's up with that? Oh my goodness.
There we go.
Very good. Thank you.
I adjusted the grip and rigging system. In other words, I closed the living room curtains.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Very clever. I'm quickly doing some little doodahs here.
All right.
That's gonna get us I think a little bit better.
Wow, look, lots of people in the chat.
I know. Hey, everybody, how's it going? So, now that we've sorted out all of our lighting issues...
You like how we do that on air with you? We kind of bring you in for all that.
Oh, no, is it supposed to rain? Oh, no. Is it going to rain again?
I
No.
would not be surprised. But
What are you
the
gonna do?
roses are happy. They were clipped a little late this year, but way back to sticks, and they're already sprouting out.
I know. I love that. That's one of the things I love about roses. You just hack them back to sticks, and
then they're happy.
Yeah.
Right?
They're happy. So, golly, well, I hope that we've got a few things to talk about today.
We do. Well, we have, we're full of blab today. We got a subject we can go on about.
I know. Hopefully it's not going to be too boring.
No, let's have a conversation. It's not. Today's very conversational.
It is. It is. Oh, yes, Wilfred's noticing that I have my cup and my shirt match.
Oh, look at that.
So,
Your Kimberly pattern coffee cup goes with this scary night.
With my fancy shirt.
A scary night.
A scary night, exactly. So, gosh, we've got several things to talk about today. We have some Lego news. We have some pins. We have stickers. We have
all those things.
A Logan somewhere.
And we even have a topic.
What about that? All right. So
I have a crazy idea. I'm going to go out on a limb and say we should say hi to everyone.
Okay. Let's see who's here.
What do you think?
I think that's a great idea. All right.
It wasn't that risky of a proposition.
No, you're good. So Brickman Mosaics Art is here. Chris getting their chalice. All right,
Yay.
Chris, so glad. Darren Siegfried is here. Fabufan MKE. Gary Mullane, Hooded One. John Luttrell.
Johnny Cat is here.
Johnny Cat's here. Just Tissue Roblox. Yano River Blue. Luke Solarzano. Mairead Walsh. Hi, Mairead. How's it going? Marilyn Parmley. Matthew Builds Bricks. Monica Berry. Rob Zaccardi. The Hornburgers. The Jammy Bricker.
Wilfred is here.
And Zarakino Kim. And I don't see Minifig Chick or Moto. That's surprising. That's usually, I'm usually like, oh, there she is. Woo! All right.
Oh, look
and
at
there's
that.
Mo. There we go. All right.
A little tacit, the strong silent type.
I know. Well, I didn't want to skip over them if they were here, So, Kathleen says, can't wait to say, but I'm waiting at the dentist. Oh my goodness, you'll check it later. All right, well, we'll see you Friday, Kathleen. Good luck at the dentist. Oh my goodness.
I should think about that too.
Yeah, same, but
Hey, we have Disney pins today.
We do have pins. Hooray! You're going for a classic.
Yeah, well, this is one of my favorite pins here. In honor of our Greebling topic today, we've got a Star Wars R2-D2 as an egg for some reason, and he's not going to focus. Well, there you go. You get the idea. It's greebled so well, you don't even have to see it in focus.
Oh my goodness. Well, I've got. I love this one. This was a gift from Minifig Chicken Paint Pusher, and I love it so much.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's the little. There we go.
Oh, and he focused.
Little cute Peter Pan. I have a Tinkerbell in the same style. Whoever this artist is, I love their little style. It's so cute.
It reminds me of your friend Chris Furness's work.
Yeah, I mean it's not like I don't love super cutesy pie things.
Our
Chris.
friend,
Exactly. Anyway, hey, Monica Berry's here. Awesome. Hooray. Glad to see you, Monica. And it sounds like...
Oh, awesome.
It sounds like Kevinator's with you.
That's so
yes.
cool.
Yes. Example of... be sure to give a definition and or example of Greebling. Oh, yeah. Don't worry. We're going to go...
Oh, and
We're
then
going to go
some.
further into it than you probably wish that we would.
You will have, by the end of today's show, you will have heard words about Greebling.
Exactly. Oh, and Amper Up is here too. Awesome. I always love when we get the, like the when the families are here.
Yep.
It reminds me, I didn't see, I don't know that I saw the Zacardis and the Hornburgers in the list either. But if they're here, hi.
Yeah, there's the Hornburgers are
There
here.
we go. Good to see everybody. I just want to make sure we got to catch them all like Pokemon. Minifig Nick is here. Awesome. Oh, very good. All right, so I am all
Hooded One's already.
He's
already
already
all
there.
the small stuff you don't really need.
All right, the Zacardis, Lana, Vanessa, and Elena are here. Good. Gotta make sure all of our chicks are in the pen before we start the show. Like, make sure all the kittens are in the box before we start.
And sometimes that's easier than other times.
It's true. Andrew is helping you build a virtual reality classroom and meeting space, TIE fighters and X-Wings as you would normally have in a classroom.
Oh,
but of course.
That's awesome.
Okay, well, we've got our pins. How about we do a little...
Are we just going to go right into it?
A little of that? Yeah, I think maybe.
Okay, let's.
Ready? Here we go. All right, the Greebling Wizard is here.
Yay,
Somebody that
perfect day.
I know, perfect day. You heard your. We'll talk all about Greebling in a minute. I promise. We're gonna get to it. But here's our stickers for today.
And in honor of Greebling, we've got from set 76001. I know that's gonna focus.
Yep.
There it is. Superheroes Dark Knight trilogy. The Bat versus Bane Tumbler Chase. It had 355 parts, 3 minifigures. You got Batman, Bane with a light nougat hand, and Commissioner James Gordon.
Did you almost say Commissioner Jones?
Well, I misread my printing.
Commissioner Jones, one of my favorite Batman characters of all time.
Yeah, right along with Jessica Gordon, right?
Yes, I love them. But so, and funny enough, this has Greebling on the stickers.
Right on it.
Right? So there you go. Now, we do have a little bit of Lego news. There's some Lego news. So let me see if this will actually give us what we're looking for. There it is.
We need a graphic for that. You know, like that RKO General radio tower.
So the Lego group is collaborating with Universal Music, which we knew was happening, to bring video. So this is our news is from the Brothers Brick, of course. So
thanks, Brothers Brick.
So this is their newest. Okay. So
I don't know anything about this.
Okay.
Nothing.
So I got to say, it didn't okay, so the AR thing with Hidden Side, I don't think went over so well. I mean, it kind of went over well with some folks, but I don't think it was the big hit they were hoping.
I love the idea, but we haven't played that yet, right?
We
built the sets. I don't remember.
I've played
AR.
some on the phone. It was, you know. So this is the their newest go at that, and you're going to be able to have make basically music videos, and since they've teamed with Universal Music, they'll actually be able to play like real songs, the real versions of songs, and then using AR, you can make you can make music videos using virtual minifigs that you can buy. And the cast of characters on this is just like cuckoo bonkers.
Well, that's fun. And so the figures will dance with the music. And
Chief Brick Geek says video equals Lego TikTok. Kind of, yes. And I gotta say, there's some really fun characters, which I'm excited about. But I gotta say, this is what's sending me about this.
I like this a lot.
2x2 tiles, like almost. they're almost like dots tiles, but in larger form, and they kind of look, some of them, like album covers.
Well, you know what? You get one set of those, and you never have to worry about what art to put on the walls of your buildings.
I know,
anymore,
that's
right?
what I'm so excited about. There's so much possibility here for artwork, like art on the walls and all that kind of stuff. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. And they are printed, confirms.
Yay.
Yeah, hooded one.
So
that's
tell me,
cool.
so what do you get when you get this?
Well, now there's not a whole lot yet about it. We haven't seen any sets or anything. But it's going to be, it's basically using, you can see here, AR technology to create a little, so you get an app, but we don't know what any of the sets look like
Well, but
yet.
look,
And there's a video.
an actual figure there, and then the figure is in AR as well.
And there's like an ice cream guy, which I really think, it makes me think of Sir Frost Cream, I'm just saying.
Uh-oh.
And there's this llama, because llamas are big these days. So anyway, we don't know what any of the sets look like now, but that
Lorenzo.
is what is? What?
That's Lorenzo right there.
Who is?
Lorenzo Llama. In the video.
So there you
So
go.
I don't know.
There's
Somehow,
video.
so you get an app and you get these cool tiles. I'm interested.
Yeah, I mean,
wanna see more.
if for nothing else, like I don't think I'll be so interested in the actual like app thing, but I am interested in these insane minifigures, if for no other reason than just to have like some really crazy fun clothes, and then those tiles are really the big seller for me. So there you go. All right. Well, that is our Lego news.
It is.
So why don't we?
Super colorful.
Oh, I did want to show y'all. I have this is more adventures in 3D printing.
Oh, right.
So
now you do that now.
I do that now. Now I have to admit that this. So part of this is a design I downloaded, and part of it is a design that I designed myself. But like mostly the decorative parts I did. So I'm building this, and it's not completely glued together yet. This is a prototype. I'm building a dice box for my D&D dice, and I found this model that it's a box that looks like a book, and then I am working on printing out. So I designed this whole gold decorative piece here, and the dragon is from an actual old picture of a dragon, and the dragon will be in a different color.
You're gonna print that in another color.
Yeah,
right?
This is just prototype here.
And
but
these jewels are dimensional too. They're little.
yeah, I made like
cats.
little jewels. They fit inside these little circles. But yeah, so that's my latest 3D printing project, which I'm very excited. Soon I'll be doing some kind of Lego organizational system, perhaps.
Matter Hacker.
Oh yeah, that's a company, by the way.
Oh,
they make
it
lots
is?
of stuff. Yes.
See all the names.
All right, so how about we get down to talking about our subject of the day?
Oh, Yano says make the dragon red and it's brickworm.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have read, yeah.
And you're gonna line it with
A tutorial on this
felt,
build?
right?
Yeah, no. This is not a tutorial. I mean, this is, it's 3D printed, so unless you have a 3D printer, I don't know that you would get a lot out of a tutorial on this particular one.
Maybe one of you could give us a tutorial.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying. Okay.
Good job,
so,
though. Great work with that.
Thank you. It's been an interesting learning process. I'll say that, and not everything is perfect, but they do. It's learning lots of interesting effects and stuff. So
Yeah.
all right. So the reason that you're all here is to talk about greebling.
Greebling. The Webster's Dictionary defines greebling at... No, we're kidding.
What? Webster's Dictionary defines greebling as a... Okay. Hey, I thought since we're doing a little, class today, or I mean, it's not so much a class as it is a show and tell.
Conversational...
Yeah, were you able to get those?
Oh,
no.
yeah, I'm pulling the containers out. Sorry there.
That's okay, you're pulling the containers out. So, greebling. What is greebling? I'm actually going to play some music behind this. I have music here that I use on my Twitch stream, and I thought it would be fun just to have it in the background today since we're just going to be talking. But you can tell me if y'all think it's too distracting, but I figured if I'm paying for this service to use on Twitch, I might as well use it here too, right? Okay, so Greebling is a term that came about in the when they were making the original Star Wars movie. Okay, and although I was reading up on my Greebling history, and I read somebody saying that actually a lot of Greebling happened in 2001: A Space Odyssey was the first time we saw a lot of what's now called Greebling, but they called it something completely different. But then when Star Wars happened and they started making the ships, as we all know from seeing some of Lego sets, the Star Wars ships are big gray shapes, right? Like the Star Destroyer is a big gray triangle, right? The Millennium Falcon is a big gray circle with a couple of triangles off the back of it.
Stop
right?
sign with a hat.
The stop sign with a hat, exactly.
It's actually a pretty aerodynamic design. Back when I used to go to Burning Man, one of our big encampments, the tent structure that had to withstand 100-mile-an-hour winds,
right.
was shaped like the Millennium Falcon, pointed, the correct way for the wind.
Oh, Dan Bakken is here. How's it going?
Dan Bakken.
Oh, and Ms. Slowbricked is here too. Welcome, everybody. So Greebling, Greebling is the art of taking smaller details and adding them to a larger sort of plane structure in order to give it detail and texture. Now, it's definitely evolved since its first thing. I mean, since its first application. Now, in the early days, and I actually saw a documentary about this one, just how I learned about Greebling long before Lego, actually. A documentary about Star Wars where they were talking about making the ships. And they said, well, we wanted to do this thing where we were like putting the guts on the outside, right? Like we were taking what would be inside underneath all of the plates and boxes and sheets of metal and bringing it to the outside where you could see it to create interest. So everything's not like a UFO from a 50s movie, right? Like just a plain, smooth metal shape.
Well, light looks great on all those surfaces, right? As opposed to just, like the Borg cube.
So, yeah, exactly. So they decided that they would add the guts on the outside, but, and I think this is a big thing about Greebling is at that point they were Greebles that made sense, meaning that like if they put a tube in there was a reason that tube was in there because it was taking air from this particular thing and taking it to this other particular thing.
Right, they added exhaust manifolds and and
they weren't just like randomly
nacelles.
Yeah.
Well, and if you compare Star Wars to Star Trek had a lot cleaner surface.
Exactly,
right? Everything
like
was
clean lines. Synthetic mason, exactly. Greeble with intent, exactly. That's very, very true. But it became a really important part of model making, like plastic model making, right? Because people who make plastic models were dealing with Greebling, but it was always on the inside, right? Like building engine blocks and like all the little tiny pieces that make that. And hot rods, which had an exposed engine.
Well, and like we do in Lego, they would actually hack apart other models to get all those parts, right?
Right. Yeah, they absolutely would. So, and that's how they, built a lot of those Star Wars ships. So we also see the like Greebling in Lego models. Now, I would say that in general, and this is a very, 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 very general sense. In a very general sense, I feel like Greebling is more of a Lego hobbyist thing than it is Lego's thing. And if I could, I'll use as an example, and we'll show a picture of it in a little bit, but I'll use an example, the medieval blacksmith shop, which was a heavily Greebled original model, which then Lego kind of made in their own style, which is much cleaner. Now they have gone, they do Greeble on the Star Wars ships, absolutely. Like a lot of those things, mechs and stuff, I absolutely agree they do. But as far as like general Greebling that doesn't have to do with like mechanical stuff, they don't do a lot of that.
I think, for me, And this idea is about 20 seconds old, so bear with me. But I think the difference is that with Lego, they do motivated detail. They'll do a very, very highly detailed room, but everything has an exact purpose.
Right.
Right? And maybe, although I'm not a Star Wars Lego expert or Star Wars expert, maybe you all can help me out here. I bet Lego is copying actual models that have already been made by other people. So the Greebling is very practical to help make a believable duplicate, model.
Well, and how could you do a Star Wars ship without Greebling? Like, that's what makes it a Star Wars ship, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, they do. Definitely, they use it a lot in that. But I think just like as a general rule, like with buildings and stuff like that, they are incorporating in a bit more now, like kind of like sprinkling it.
And I had another side to my theory too, or hypothesis, and that is that that AFOLs use it a lot more decoratively, a lot more often, and that we, because of that, we've gotten whole styles based on Greebling.
Yes. Oh, yes. So let's actually, I've got some.
Right, 20-second old idea.
I've got some slides. All right, so here is a
clean, smooth.
Here is a highly greebled Lego model. After I just said that they don't do a lot of it, but
yeah. Well, I wonder how closely this resembles the original from the movie that they were, modeling it after.
So this is highly greebled model. And one of the things, and I won't say it's exclusively, because it's definitely not exclusive to large models, but Greebling is really suited for large-scale modeling. Because when we talk about building, and you've heard us talk about this before, we think about bricks in terms of like pixel size. So like, what's the smallest detail that you can do? Well, probably like a 1x1 tile. You're like a 1x1 round, right? Is one of the smallest pixels.
One of the smallest, like maybe a pistol, is a very small detail. Any of those little like sticky kind of things.
Yeah, it's just like any little tiny part is a really good example. And if you ever so if Greebling is something that you want to get into, and you buy bulk Lego, well then you're in luck because you have bags of Greebling material, right?
But I wanted to take that pixel size thing a step further about relative pixel size, right? If you do a micro scale model and you're using a headlight brick as the back of a headlight brick as your window, you don't have any room for Greebling, right? You're just going to cover the major structures. But if you build something the size of your dining room table, then even 2x4 bricks, in a row can be a small detail, and it allows you to do finer and finer and finer details all the way down to those plates, which, if you compare that to computer screen resolution, would be a highly resolved image. It's like 8-bit versus 64 and plus.
Right. Well, Wilfred brings up a good question. He says, when you're adding texture to a wall of a house to make it look old, worn in time, is that Greebling to you? I think so, yes. And actually, that's something we're going to get into here in just a minute. Yeah. So I wanted to show you the difference when I was talking about the size.
For us, we've stretched that term a lot. We use the term Greebling to represent a bunch of different techniques.
So this is an early Star Destroyer, a smaller Star Destroyer, and you can see that while there is some Greebling in it, but certainly not to that level.
No, the studs make a sort of abstract version of Greebling. They add, they've sort of painted with studs and smooth there.
And then now this is the big Star Destroyer, the giant one, which I might add is sitting, the constructed one I was telling you about that we got from the Lego store that's like all glued together, is sitting in Minifig Chick's storage just waiting for a giveaway. By the way.
This model
that we're looking at right now. Anyway. So you can kind of see the difference. So what I was talking about is where you have like small, you have less,
Well, look at the detail on the second and third floor of that, the sort of built up structure near the back.
Yeah.
You can make out windows, you can make out structures on the sides of the tiers. And in the other model, that's not there. Are there even studs
There's less.
there?
Yeah, there's studs, but it's very, you can
minimal.
You can do less with it. Not saying that you can't do greebling in small spaces, because you absolutely can, and we're going to talk about that as well.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Don't you mean the giant $700 pizza? Pretty much. It is a large pizza slice. Whoops, that came early.
What?
Sorry, that wasn't supposed to be there. That's not even actually supposed to be there in that picture, but there you go. Anyway, so greebling. Now we do just to kind of go here. Here we go. So we started off. I think we started off greebling early on, and we ran into a guy online. Like, I ran into his work online. This guy named Luke Watkins Hutchison, who is amazing. And as soon as I saw his work, I was like, that's the stuff I want to make, right? Like, that's the stuff I want to make. So, because of that, we sort of evolved the way that we organize our bricks to suit that building style, which I was when I was thinking about this today. That's what I was thinking about, like how much our organization system is geared towards greebling of some kind.
You mean the way we do color families?
Yes.
The way we do texture families, right?
Yep.
Sizes.
Exactly, color, size, and texture families. Plus, this is one of our earliest labels, as you can tell, because it's peeling off. But we called it.
You gotta tilt it down
and see it. Single pixels. We called it that back in the day. And this is where we keep all of our, like all of
dots
our
with
little
holes,
one-by-one pieces,
posts.
right? Yeah, Minifig Nick, you're right. He's not active as much anymore. He's in a heavy metal band now. It's true. But one-by-one tiles and plates aren't the only things that can be used as greebles, right? Like, we have all of our minifig accessories are great greebles. Right? Technic pieces are amazing greebles.
I want to expand the definition that we use greebling for to mean not only small details of mechanical items like on sci-fi things, but any kind of smaller and smaller detailed piece that's not necessarily fully realized as an object, but is just there for texture. And we think not only about greebling with, adding pipes and lines to things, but we also greeble color. You can have like a big color field and then add in similar colors, stippled around like pointillism.
Right.
And we greeble textures as well. If we talked about this in our landscaping how-to. If you have a flat plane and you build up sections with plates to have a more topographically interesting structure,
right.
We talk about greebling that, like adding more contrast to the, shape of things.
Exactly. Well, let's go back to our slideshow here.
Yep.
And this is a close-up picture of some really, I think, pretty good greebling. I mean, like, this is definitely not so much greebling with a purpose. This is like putting a bunch of stuff in there, but things do connect together, and you have hoses and such. But...
Well, this is like what you see on the outside of the Borg cube, right?
Right.
And I think a nice thing about that, this is not only is there small detail, they're mixing perpendiculars and horizontals and large round shapes with small round shapes. So there's a lot of texture, or there's a lot of variation in size too. Well, it's not just confetti.
And then but then when you take it to, like, now it's become a style. Like, greebling is a thing as a style, and you can take it all the way to something like this, which is using greeble as a style and less as clearly. I'm going to guess, I could be wrong, but I'm going to guess that the creator of this, and his name is down there, Russell. And by the way,
Russell Burkhoff.
This is on the Wikipedia page about greebling. So if that tells you anything about this, so this is kind of like the ultimate greeble.
Right. It's
Right.
like if you had a Greebling knob and you just turned it up and up and up.
Yeah. And anyway, but what I was going to say is I could be wrong about this, but I'm going to guess that the person who built this doesn't have a purpose for every single one of those little things.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah. I mean, yes, it's called Greeble Ship. So there you go. Greebling at 11. I would say 20. This is like, so this is kind of like taking it to an extreme.
You know, I've seen in 3D programs going back a million years, KPT Bryce, but you know, ones from this century too. Would have, if you were making a plane, you could actually turn up knobs and make the, you know, and make the mountains push up more and more and more, and then have finer and finer, like fractal details.
Yeah,
and
and-
that's what it reminds me of.
Well, and this is really more like textural greebling, right? Like what,
Yeah.
like this is like done for texture. Good morning. Oh,
Moto.
hey, Zonker is here. How's it going, Zonker?
Moto, you're killing me today. It's gonna have some drag and chop on atmospheric.
Yeah, it is.
You think?
When it's done, it's just an airplane underneath.
Didn't even make it through the wind chamber.
So back when we started building, and you know what? I have a picture here of one of our very first mocks that we ever tried to do. It's not the one that's coming up. It's coming soon.
Yeah.
But it's funny. You'll get to see. So this is Luke Hutchison. This guy is like this is what I aspire to with my building. I know that a lot of people really love the clean, nice look. I love this. This is incredible.
You know, I think he added an element to Greebling here. I think what sets Ramshackle apart from just Greebling a surface is the almost entire absence of parallel lines.
Well,
right? Like everything looks like it's gonna fall over.
Right, which is not inherently Greebling. Like he used Greebling
No, he
to
added that.
and he's created, and now actually he sort of was the progenitor of this style, which is now called Ramshackle style. And it became very popular for a while, not so much anymore. I wish it still was, because I think it's incredible. And yes, Ranghall on Instagram is another one. And
well,
then
that stone wall on the front is a perfect example of Greebling, right?
Yes.
And it's not confetti. It's there's some organization to the chaos.
yeah, so I think that's important. Like it seems like it would be easy just to throw a bunch of stuff up there, but it's really not. Like you have to put some thought into it. It's a thoughtful process that seems chaotic when actually it isn't.
Well, Zonker
right?
points to the chimney, and I think that's a perfect example, right? There's got to be some structure in there, but wow, that it's so mixed up. And I think this must be a very large model.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Well, I mean, those are actual windows, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. No,
Are
no,
they?
no.
No, they're not. I
they're
think
made
this is a
windows.
large model.
Yeah, so it's worth checking out his stuff. Thank you, Minifig Chick. And then here's another one of his models. Again, like mind-blowing shapes, but also extremely thoughtful greebling, I think.
Yeah, and this one, to me, this doesn't feel like it was intended to be falling down. It's just high fantasy, right?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, this is what I aspire to. I aspire to be able to make things that look like this.
Yeah, those stone walls are great, and all the magic that goes into those the beams supporting the eaves and the eaves sticking out.
Well, and
the color of Yano, right?
And he did very early on Eurobricks. He actually has posted an entire tutorial on how to make a medieval village, and he discusses a lot of greebling techniques. And he was the first one that, when I read it, that made me think beyond, like, oh, I don't have to just use, 4x8 and 4x10 plates and bricks to make landscaping. Actually, if you want to get fine detail, use 1x(n) plates, use 1x2 plates, use 1x1 plates, and layer them and shift the colors around. Like he really did talk a lot about that, which I thought was...
Well, didn't he also open your eyes to, and you got this before I did, I think even with the windmill, is non-square base plates.
Yes. Yes, I love non-square base plates. Now this one isn't, actually has a square
This is
base
square,
plate.
but not the one before it.
Now Hooded One says, but is it the shapes that make it good or the Greebling? It's both. It's the combination.
Yeah.
So like it's like Greebling turned into another art form, like taking Greebling, adding more stuff on top of it, and turning it into something special.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, Christopher Coster, ahoy hoy, how's it going? Oh, and Joel is here too. Very good.
yeah. So Greebling's just one element on this one, right? There is a structure underneath this which could have been expressed with perfectly smooth textures, and the Greebling is what gives it all, what makes light fall on it the way it does.
And I also, like, if I ever met this guy, I would absolutely credit him for inspiring Snake Queen, certainly.
Yeah.
Plus many of the other things that we've built, but he was a huge influence on me and us when we first started building. Okay, so here...
Okay, this is a trip to the Wayback Machine, and you pointed out the other day that we had that Dumbledore, and we do.
We do. So this is ours now. You can tell this isn't Luke's. But this was I think this is the very first attempt at a large mock that we ever did after reading Luke's whole thing on Eurobricks.
Yeah, a few months into the hobby, right?
Yeah. And you can see we had already, I believe I started with one of my very favorite things, which is making your own doors, which is something that I got from him. Another thing that I got
we started Greebling the chimney.
Yeah, we started Greebling the chimney, and you can see the bottom of the house. This is absolutely from Luke. I got this from him. Is the Greebling of the 1x1 rounds at the base of the building to make it look like it's got piled up rocks, like that is like 100%. This was all inspired by him.
Well, and then if I recall correctly, you were working on the main house, and that roof was entirely new territory for us at the time. And I was working on building a ramshackle circular wall, and then I got stuck.
Right, and this was kind of this is what kind of ended up. Oh, and you can see a bridge here that I built in the front. That is definitely from Luke's thing on Eurobricks. It's a really great thing if you haven't checked it out.
Yeah, it's hard to see in shadow there, but it has different colored cylinders and maybe some cones.
Yeah, so this was an early, and we never ended up going anywhere with it. This ended up kind of getting taken apart and put back, and we had hardly any bricks at this point.
But we kept the circular wall.
And it became this. And you can see that arch there in the front is still present here. And this was our first kind of I think this was the first thing that we ever built and took to a lug meeting. So the first thing that we ever showed publicly. And I remember we took Bart to the meeting and we had it like in a box. Yeah, and you had labeled it Lego Windmill really big on the side.
So we were Lego enthusiasts without a car. So we just lugged everything. We drug
everything.
So it's hard to tell in this, but it's a circular building with an octagonal angled roof.
Well, you worked really hard on that. Here,
yeah,
I'm gonna
the
see
roof.
If I can enlarge this a little bit.
Being able to make a circular-ish conical roof out of an octagon of hinged bricks, especially as little as experience as we had, was a huge accomplishment for me. And the windmill turned around, and the little rooster on top spun around.
Well, and I remember using, and also
there's what you were talking about with the plates.
Yes, and here's with the landscaping with unusual shape, like not a square. So we really wanted to kind of go there. All right. I don't know. I really I enjoyed doing this so much, but we were still in the phase where we were I won't say we copied other people's work, meaning like
Well,
okay,
we drew from techniques that we learned, certainly.
Well, right, but
We
what I
still
mean
do.
is like what I meant is that like that first one that we showed you, like you can clearly if you read Luke's thing on TrickyBricks, you can clearly see where we like copied exactly what he said to do.
Yeah.
Put the little stones around the bottom, do this, do this thing and that thing. Where this one, we had just started kind of like finding our own footsteps, kind of.
Well, it was our first piece with motion, and certainly we spent a lot of time on this one. It was all brand new territory for us.
Yeah, this is what year was this? Is Joel Marbella? This was 2016. Yeah. So this was
and
an
a
early
new
idea.
discovery for us was being able to make the shingled roof by only attaching one end of those 1x-N tiles. So that they were all...
Oh, yeah, so that we had the shingles and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So. Oh, you are right, Christopher. Chris getting their chalice reminds me that it is actually time for our very special guest of the day. Please,
What
ladies
could
and
it be?
gentlemen, welcome to the show. It's Logan! I hear him coming.
Here comes Tippity Tap.
Yay!
Hey.
Hi, buddy.
Hi, you want a
Everybody's been
cookie?
waiting for you patiently through our gabbing and slideshow.
These
Just
are
to see you.
big, crunchy cookies. Here, look at everyone. Say hi. Hi. Good boy.
Yay, Logan!
Okay, here,
And
you're
one
gonna
more.
get-
Are
can
we
you-
gonna do
can
a
you
catch?
one? Here, let's see. Ready? Good boy.
All
That's
right!
good.
Yay, Logan!
He's a good dog.
What a good boy.
I'm gonna go back to relaxing.
Logan cookie time.
That was one of the more subdued Logan cookie
That was. Listen, I love Logan's intense cookie stare. I know.
times. I know.
Is it coming? Is it happening yet? Oh my goodness. All right. Well, let's head back to our slideshow, shall we?
All right. This is some
Um,
cheerful music.
Isn't it? So this was our attempt at Greebling on our sort of first.
Well, and also, even though the structure itself is pretty rectilinear, like the walls of the cylinder are vertical. What you did with the windmill, you did the windmill arms. Oh, and you know what we discovered, much to our chagrin, is you have to balance the arms of a windmill. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So we weighed out all of those plates and counted them.
We did weigh them. That's right, and counted all the studs. Yeah.
Yep, but then it worked.
It did.
Organized chaos.
Exactly. So this is a really good example of what I mean when I say that Lego does less greebling in their everyday models than and that why I say that greebling is more of a fan model type like use. And also ramshackle style. Again, like they really kind of go together at this point. Like ramshackle style utilizes greebling to create an end.
Well, I think Lego, if we can stretch the word like this, Lego greebles their colors, like you see in the shingles there.
Mm-hmm.
But they take the instability out of ramshackle.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. They want to make sure that it not maybe it's not swooshable, but it's going to stay together. Where if you build a ramshackle thing and take it to a convention,
yeah, ramshackle describes more than just the style. Say that. But I think they, again, like as I was saying before, and I think I think it may have been misinterpreted. I never meant to say that I did not like this idea set. What I said was that I know people were expecting the picture on the left and were surprised and maybe a little disappointed when they saw the picture on the right. I think it's gorgeous. I just think that some people were a little surprised at the difference. I think people got their hopes up that it was going to be a ramshackle building, and it ended up being more of a pure Lego style, Lego castle inspired building, and I think it's delightful.
Well, I'm right there. I saw the two side by side at first, and I said, "What? That doesn't look like that." But then I started looking a lot more closely at the model and looking at different photos of it, and all of the variation is there in a much more stable model, and I just think it's a lot. To me, it feels like adventure.
Right.
Like I know I said this before. I wish they'd wrap a whole theme around this and bring back some kind of medieval adventure play.
It would be really fun. Hey, WGJL Builds is here. How's it going? Okay.
But so Greebling, so they did greeble the chimney there, and
the walls have some color greebling in them.
right, and there's some a lot of variation in the landscaping, the little bit of landscaping around there.
They definitely a non-square, you know. So it definitely has the signposts, right?
Yeah, even in the plaster work in the sort of Tudor beam,
Yes.
work there. It could have been white, and they mixed it up with white and tan.
Well, Wilfred makes a good point. He says, I think Ramshackle takes a bit of the toyish aspect of Lego, and I personally like the toyish aspects too.
I agree.
I totally agree with that. And also,
Yeah.
I love it. I love Ramshackle so much. Because I think for precisely the reason that it does work against type, right?
Yep.
It's a little more unexpected, I think. All right. So, this was our California dream, and this was our first large-scale mock it was our first mock that we ever showed at a convention.
Yeah, first thing we showed at a convention, and it got we decided we wanted to use train tracks, and that determined a size.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And the size was big.
And the size was enormous. I remember we had to borrow base plates, do you remember?
Yep.
We had to borrow base plates to build this because we didn't have enough at the time. And we decided this was where I feel like we really branched out with our Greebling and tried to like apply it to a bunch of different things. So the theme was...
It's a nice photo there with the water cooler, don't you think?
I know, but it's at a convention. We were right on the corner.
I'm gonna refill our coffee.
Okay.
And let you finish a sentence.
Okay. So we utilize lots of different types of Greebling on this, and I think this is where we finally kind of like moved past... I don't want to say copying what other people were doing, but being very, very influenced by what other people like Luke and stuff were doing to kind of creating putting our own spin on it. So we decided we divided it all up into lands, like a giant amusement park ride. So California Dreamin' was the theme, and we literally made it a park, like a theme park. But really what I wanted to show you is this. So this was a small part of the water. And this water is lightly greebled, really, because we didn't have a ton of parts at the time. And I don't know, you may have heard the story before of us talking about what happened with this. So we were building for the convention, and like you always do, we were like up against it, right? And we were like, oh, I know what we'll do. For the big open blue part in the center, which is going to be the water, we're just going to like lay stuff down.
We're going to greeble the heck out of it.
We're going to greeble the heck out of it. It's going to be amazing. We stayed up until all hours, and we were just like...
Just putting down, mixing, making sure nothing was too regular.
Well, we woke up the next morning, and it was a hideous mess.
We hated it.
It was so awful.
We hated it. It looked like someone spilled confetti on the table.
And I think this is where we really found our... I don't know, like found out the difference between just laying down greebles and actually putting thought into them.
Well, creating my benchmark for it is if you're walking through the woods and the sunlight's coming through the leaves and making a breakup pattern on the ground, that breakup pattern isn't perfectly even. It's sort of irregularly organized, like looking at a topographic map.
Right.
Right? And the way water behaves and the way leaves blow around and the way snow banks up makes these irregular fractal patterns.
Well, Yes, and I'll also say that this is now we have really seriously departed from the original intent of Greebling, which
This is not
this is not sci-fi.
Star Wars ship.
This is not Star Wars. This is like, I don't know, organic Greebling, if you will. And so you can see that we purposely put like
we have instructions.
Yes, we have instructions. They're $5,000. I know.
It's It's the Encyclopedia Britannica size instructions.
So here is. Oh, you know what? I probably shouldn't. I'm gonna do this. Oops.
Just shrink that up.
Oh, I'm trying to. Oh, dang it. Sorry, everyone. I was realizing, hey, I probably shouldn't have that face in there. Sorry about that. I'll blur that out later. Anyway.
So, in our piece, when you get to Southern California and you pass through Hollywood and the LA freeways, you come down to the beaches.
Mm-hmm. And
that's what we're looking at. Part of it.
So this is a giant wave, and this was where, I mean, you can see that we like really color greebled this, but we tried to think about, here, and I'll enlarge it a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. We really tried to think about like like lines going up, right? We incorporated a lot of curves at the top to give it a curve piece, and this was where, I mean, I'm not going to say that you invented it entirely, but you invented it for us.
Yeah, I did a bunch of experiments because I wanted to see how, I like in Ramshackle that you have those structures that aren't parallel. And we talk again and again about breaking the box.
Right.
What is the lead? How this is not very much like a cube, right? It's all broken down and angled. So I started playing with what later became plate meshes. Just plates of different sizes hooked together with ball hinges so that you can create a fabric and mold that around. And that's how the whole top of the wave is structured. There's technique on the inside of the base there, and it's all skinned over, but the whole upper part is just this mesh. And we developed that further.
Yeah, and then we ended up using that to a large degree in Snake Queen.
And look, I put a light in there on the surfer too. Because it's all dark underneath.
If Joel was asking, did it have power functions? It had, I don't know if you can see right here in the upper left of the wave, right above the surfer, there's a little light that we rigged up. And I think we probably talked about that in our lighting workshop.
Yep. And then in the background, you can see we have a very broken up structure, the mountain there, that's also heavily greebled, but because it's organized differently, color-wise, I think they stand as two completely distinct structures.
Right. Now, speaking of more nature greebling, can I open this back up now? Yeah, here we go. So this was our mine town, and you can see multiple kinds of color greebling and texture greebling that we did here. We have the greebled mine shaft area.
Rocks, right?
With rocks. We have
in tan and gray.
Yeah, I don't know that I would necessarily call the trees greebling.
No, I mean there's variation in heights on the trees, but
the brown roofs, the green of the cabin behind, the blue and white of the waterfall, and the gray, right?
Of the rocks. And those are all really busy patterns. But I think like the organization of the whites in the waterfall really help a lot.
Treebling. So anyway, but what this shows is that color greebling is just as important as other kinds.
Well, in each of these we've got three colors, right? There's three colors in the mine rocks. There's light gray, dark gray, and tan. In the roof of the village we've got what is that, like butterscotch or dark orange?
Nougat or dark orange.
With brown and dark red.
But also, if you'll notice too, we were very thoughtful about where we put the colors. So there's not like the brown of the roofs is nicely set off by the green behind it. And the same thing with the trees and then the waterfall. And like we tried to keep it so that it didn't just turn into a blob. And I think that's the important thing about being purposeful with your greebling, is making sure that things just don't turn into something that's so confusing that you can't even tell what's going on.
Well, we're purposeful with our colors too. Even if we have, huge amounts of texture, we still limit it to only that color, a highlight, and a shadow.
Right. Okay, so here is
this is miniature Greebling.
Well, I mean, I wanted to show this
Greebling light
as
that's what I
purposeful.
mean to
It's
say.
Greebling light, but it's purposeful Greebling. So, if you look back here, this is all like color Greebling. This was the backstage area.
It's on the side of the model.
On the side of the model, because we knew people would be able to see it. But you can see that we actually Greebled in some like air condition, like some air, like air conditioning, recycling air. And we use tubes, but the tubes actually have a purpose. They go into the wall here, which then attach to these little air conditioning units.
Like the turbines used as air conditioning units. I mean, completely meaningless, but semi-motivated. Like, I know that there's hoses in air conditioning units, so...
Right, but we wanted to move, things from one... And it's just it's a difference between, this kind of organic Greebling and actual mechanical Greebling, and certainly not to the level of a Star Wars ship, but it's purposeful.
Okay, this was also very, very self-serving, because on the other side of this, I think the other side of this was the LA freeway, right? And I wanted a blue psych background behind it, and we didn't have any 2x2 or, 2x4 or 1xN dark blue bricks. We only had all these roofs. We got the slopes from what workshop was that?
Oh, that was Megan Rothrock's.
Megan Rothrock's workshop. So it's smooth on the other side, and I had to deal with this, so we turned it into an air conditioning
unit. Yeah, so we decided to turn it into an air conditioning unit with Greebling. So there you go. All right. More Greebling fun. Okay, so this is where I
think we took it too far.
This was probably our like ultimate Greeble. This is where we took all the things that we learned, all the Greebling techniques, all the ramshackle techniques, all of our castle building techniques, all of the things.
Topographic contrast, texture meshes.
Yeah, this was like everything we had learned up to this point. And you can see that there's...
the Mowgli, thank you very much.
There's color Greebling, texture Greebling, organic rock Greebling,
and an asymmetrical silhouette.
Exactly.
Which we get straight from Ramshackle.
Right.
And Disney.
And all of the things.
Go all the way back in art.
So if you haven't seen it already, there is video of this.
On the website?
On our website. No, on YouTube. There is video of this. You can see it in motion. So, yeah. Oh, thank you, the Mowgli. I appreciate that. But I wanted to show you some close-ups. So I'm gonna hang on, back up. If you go up to the little opening just underneath the castle, if you can see that little opening,
the top of the anvil shape there of the mountain.
This was our. This is that in close-up. And I just wanted
the spooky crypt,
and I just wanted to make note of not only did we use organic shape and color Greebling here around the outside.
We have are there 3?
Bye WGJL. We'll see you later.
There's 3, maybe 4 colors. There's 3 colors of gray in there: light gray, dark gray, and then
sand blue.
Yep.
Yeah. So and then you can also see that we Greebled the walls behind, using handcuffs and clips and other things just to kind of give it a little bit of texture so that it wasn't just completely plain
like
in the back.
Stonework in the crypt.
And then this was another place that I think really shows off the texture Greebling that we did on the background, and as well, again, with the rocks on the outside. And we were very, very careful to choose colors for each part of the model, and this was our
we talked about it endlessly.
We did.
We talked about painting light onto it, and one of the things that really brought it to life for us was even after all the rock plates were on, the meshes were done, and we had our light gray, dark gray, and sand blue. We went through in the end with we decided our smallest pixel for the rocks would be a 1x1 cube. A 1x1 brick, and we went through, and on the left side, the middle, and the right side of the models chose different colors, and here it was that Cinderella blue. And you
Yep.
see just 3 of them in there, right?
But there were more.
But there were more around the front middle of the model, and so we just painted these little sparks of light into it, or that was the intent.
Oh, so Christopher mentions, and Monica Berry says Kevin Ader's asking about the lights in the eyes.
Oh yeah, those lights are they're little 3mm LEDs, and they can be battery powered. These were plugged in to the wall, and they're made by Life Lights.
And so
Rob Hendricks at
Hendricks.
Life Lights was very helpful with this piece.
So this was all coordinated. So when the thing was actually running, our little characters are on a little conveyor belt that go by, and as they would enter the room, the little lights in each skull would pop on one by one as they passed by. So that was
and there are those skulls just have holes in the eyes, so I'm poking the 3mm LED through that.
So that's how that worked. But more Greebling. Okay, so here is a good example of different color Greebling. So on the front, we had this color scheme.
Light gray, dark gray,
Greeble.
sand blue with the Cinderella blue sparkles.
On this side, we did mostly dark gray with light gray and dark tan.
With those lime green sparkles, right?
And then we also, lime green was our highlight color. We did use some of those like silver curves. And then you can see that we greebled the waterfall a bit as well.
And that waterfall palette, that was all you.
Yes, I wanted the purple water really bad. And then also we decided that we wanted plants growing on it. So if you look on this one, you can see we have grass, regular green grass.
Yeah.
And on this side, we have the brown grass. Right.
And then all of these greebles are on plates, which are then meshed together using various structural means. But so they're on plates that are all faced different directions and are at different depths. And some of the individual, you see, we had a lot of that. What I call a rocket ship part. What is it? The
little curved angle, yeah.
Yeah, that we had a lot of those, but on some of them we pushed it out a couple of plates. Other times it's tucked back further in.
But I thought about every single brick that we put on here. Like I actively thought about it. Like we decided that we wanted things like if you look at there's these little silver curves just to the right of the waterfall mouth in the middle. Yeah. There's like 2 little silver curves right next to each other.
Yeah, they're 1x4s.
And this is something that you advocate for all the time is like, if you look around, you'll see in almost every instance of one of those silver curves, there's another one right next to it. There's always 2 next to each other and maybe a third one off to the side.
Well, you know what we do is we set rules, right?
Right.
Like an ant colony looks very organized, but each of the ants only operates, I'm told, maybe if I could speak with one, it'd be different, but only operates under a few simple rules. And so we establish a few rules. We're only going to use those corner angle pieces vertically, right? We're only ever going to have groups of 2s and 3s.
Yeah.
We'll never have 2 things next to one another at the same level. So we establish a few rules and then just do it over and over and over again.
Well, I think that's what's important about thoughtful greebling is putting that kind of those kind of thoughts into it, right? Not just, as we found out with the water, just sticking things places. All right.
But there again, there's only 3, there's not that many colors, right? So the similarity of colors and, something I thought about a lot, I'm sorry to go so much into this, but again, those corner angle plates there, if you look at it, if you squint your eyes, you can see a flow to those. And I wanted there to be veins in the rocks, and that's something I do quite often is I'll squint, and if you can still make it out, if you can make out those flows of highlight and shadow, then I think that's successful and going to be more interesting
like a painting
than if it's just white noise.
Right. So our Greebling experience came back like full circle. Interestingly, this time last year, we were asked by Boone to join with him and our friend Perry and Mark in creating Ewok Adventureland.
And I know we've shown this before.
We've definitely shown this before, but we not in this.
No,
like,
but specifically about Greebling today.
Right. So we built the sign up there, and Boone worked on the monorail and roller coaster, and Perry did the rides.
The lifting roller coaster.
It was really amazing. So
that worked.
That worked. So this was it all together, and the sign was ours. And oh no, sorry about that.
Sorry, it's turned sideways here. I don't know if we can fix that in the moment.
I can't, unfortunately. Oops. Here, but
okay,
I will enlarge it anyway. Sorry about that, everybody. Wrong thing, but we want you to be able to see
because
this.
it was Star Wars. We wanted to heavily Greeble the sign, and so I tortured those letters. You know, I knew the sizes that I wanted, and I knew a few key pieces that I wanted to use, but I thought for a really long time about those letters and placed everything so carefully, did a lot of squinting and stepping back to see that you could make out what the letters were. And in the end, this is an early version here.
Yeah.
You can see in the L of land, there's a black piece underneath the gray vertical L of the upright part of the L.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found was that I could only make out the letters if I put these drop shadows behind them. So
right.
I reinforced those shapes. In the final piece, each one has highlights and shadows that reinforce the shapes.
Well, and then the funny thing is these are they're purposeful.
Up a little?
Yeah, it's purposeful greebling. But it's not. But the greebling itself doesn't have purpose. Meaning, like, it's not a tube that goes to an air conditioning unit.
No, it was just I wanted parts that looked like they could have been taken off of spaceships or technical equipment.
Exactly.
Well, and that was actually a direction from Boone. Is he said that the Ewoks in making Ewok Adventureland had taken stuff, that was left over from the Battle of Endor. So everything was supposed to look like it was made from junk.
Yeah, sorry about that. So that's just like another kind of greebling. So I think hopefully what you're starting to see is like greebling does not have to be and is not relegated to spaceships.
Oh, we've got a question here. I'm sorry to interrupt here.
That's just
okay. Got it.
Let's see. Oh, and here is, if you've ever heard about the adventure, I think we were talking about on one of the shows the other day, when we were putting the revolving sign part on top, and I was like on top of that table, and it was absolutely terrifying. And to make it worse, there was like a crowd gathered. Like I see Megan Lum there, and there's Corey, and Mark is over there, and I think I might see Jessica in the background. I'm not positive, but I just remember that there were all these people.
Oh my goodness!
And it was so terrifying. And then
I know, don't drop it. Well, because had the sign broken off, it would have smashed the entire monorail structure on the front.
Yeah. So anyway, that wasn't so much about greebling.
No,
I just thought you might find it humorous. So. Now, we talked a lot about greebling, and like we were saying earlier that like you need like large space for greebling, and it really works best large. But I just wanted to show this last picture to show you that it doesn't have to be large. This is a 16 by 16, and I heavily greebled the walls, and especially the fireplace. I'm
sorry to distract you.
Mm-hmm.
To the point that Zonker's making right now, I think the product from Lifelights is called a Pixel Light Pro, and then Zonker created software Arduino software that could control the Pixel Light Pro.
Yes. So
I'm sorry, you're talking about the witch
No,
house.
now I got distracted by something over here. Sorry. Anyway, I'm like,
we're everywhere
right now. Okay, so this I heavily greebled the whatchamacallit, the chimney here, and I don't know if you can kind of see inside. I even greebled the inside of the fireplace by using textured bricks that go
bricks,
in,
right?
that are in different directions just to give it a little something. And then I even I needed something to fill space. So I came up with the idea of this trailing plant that would kind of go, and you can't see it because it's behind her, but it's actually growing out of a little pot.
And yes, it's a goat.
Yes, there's a goat. Everybody loves the goat.
Well, the wall is greebled, the floor texture.
Oh, and also, gas, is that a hubcap? Yes, that is in fact a hubcap. I wanted, of course, it looked like a 5-pointed star. I mean, it is a 5-pointed star, and I thought it would make a great decoration for the witch's house. But so this is, and again, you can see in the floor where I've done color greebling, and it's something that I know we've talked about on the show before, but I think it's so important to use that kind of color greebling and color variety to bring interest to a lot, like, because that could have all just been a brown floor.
But it could have been a straight brown floor, and it's basically the interior of a cube, but you've broken up all. There's no large surface is unbroken.
Right, exactly. So anyway, that is, I think we're back to yes, and now we're back to the original Greeble, the Millennium Falcon, the giant plate of Greeble.
So I don't know. Much. We took a term and we've taken it to lots of people have taken it to these places, but for us it's been a really major consideration in how we structure not only the silhouettes of our buildings but the skin.
Indeed.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, Minifig Chick says, how can you plan for adding greebling without having to rebuild something 1,000 times?
Snot pieces, for one.
Snot. Yeah, building in snot pieces is a good idea. But you kind of, I don't know, it's so hard to say because there is a lot of organization that goes into it, but at the same time, there's also a lot of randomness that goes into it. And I think what Richard was saying before about creating rules around what you're doing is what's going to is what's really going to save you in the end. Like, if you know these are the 10 pieces that we're going to use, and these are the different styles of pieces that we're going to use and colors we're going to use, you can you have a lot of latitude to work with.
I think there's I think a lot about fractal shapes, like clouds or the countries. And this isn't. Someone told me this once. If you want to make irregular shapes, think about making things that look like different countries, right? They don't. They all sort of go together, but there's an irregular meandering path, of water, but between the countries.
Yes.
And so just making these fractal shapes, and then the closer and closer you look, the more detail there is.
Well, and Yano says, I'm sure rules are especially helpful when you're working with a partner or team to keep things cohesive. Absolutely, 100%, that is true. But I also think it's good just, even just for a builder who builds on their own, just to have that, like, okay, I know what I'm working with. It helps, I think, with at least the way we do it, and again, now this speaks back to how we organize our parts. Like, when the way our plates are organized, like our 1x-N plates are organized, are 100% with an eye towards color greebling. We have an earth plates section. So I have a whole drawer, and all of the plates are brown, dark tan,
all the dark
tan,
colors.
Dark green, like anything that I would use for a landscape is all together in
Olive
one place.
greens in there.
Yeah.
For me, and I don't know, Flynn, you may have a different approach to this than me, but both for greebling and for ramshackle, I think of it as a two-step process. I want to build the thing first, and then I want to go back, and add more detail. But there's often not time to do the whole thing twice. But I think about how am I going to build the thing regular, and then where am I going to take chunks out of it, and we'll go back often with rocks. We'll go back and do a second or a third pass of finer detail, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and that's
just smaller and smaller pixels.
Thank you. That's the other thing I was going to say. You were asking to Minifig Chick's question is by doing it in phases, like knowing in the end that you're going to. That you're going to be greebling something, think about, building in broad strokes first, and then doing another pass with this. I mean, that's what we did with
bigger
Snake
bricks
Queen.
to smaller, right?
Yeah, we're like a wash of X color or whatever. But anyway, these are our slopes, and again,
we talk about that, a wash of cheese slopes.
yes, and we use slopes a lot, so much for landscaping that we decided to divide it up into, again, here's our kind of like earth tone colors. Uh-oh, how did that get in there? With our earth tone colors, then we keep black and white ones in the same. We have gray ones for doing rock work. So it's funny, like I hadn't thought about that. Hey, Alexander 23 is here. How's it going, man?
Well, they're pallets, right? Plus,
Right.
we don't have enough containers to, just separate all of them out. The other thing, and we talked about this a lot with landscaping, is I like to soften my focus when I'm doing greebling work, right? I don't want to think now a green, and now a red, and now a dark green. I just go like, just kind of place, and then I organize it a little more.
Well, and then we were talking about
Was that a
rules,
little abstract?
A little bit. It's okay. We were talking about rules,
Yeah.
and I think one of the rules, the Greebling rules that we often use, especially when we're talking about building landscapes like rock structures, especially, is that like, okay, I never want more than 2 of the same brick right next to each other at a time. I never want more than 3 45-degree slopes in the same direction all at once, or whatever.
Right, you have to rotate them another direction.
Right,
Or,
and I
yeah.
think that's going to help you in pre-planning. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Greebling's a hard thing to pre-plan completely. A lot of it is, hey, Roland, how's it going? Welcome.
Oh, here's another rule. Like when making rocks, a rule might be that everywhere you have, whatever it is, 60-degree slope headed one way, you're going to have a different angle slope headed the other way. And there may be 16 different ways you can solve that problem over the course of the whole stonework, but you've established this repeating rule. You're going to have all these L's.
Right, and you'd be surprised how that repetition. Like, I know it seems like we're saying, keep, just randomly put it. It's chaotic, but it's organized. I know that's like the hardest part of this, is like it's all of those things at the same time. And I think that what happens with the repetition is that it gives the viewer's eye something to focus on, almost like a visual rest.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, right? Like, because if things are too chaotic, you kind of don't know where to look. But something about having a repeated, like the 2 silver pieces right next to each other, or these 2 types of pieces next to each other.
Well, it's the way rock works, right? It's the way leaves work.
But there's
rules.
It just gives you, like it gives the viewer's eye something to focus on, even if they don't realize it.
There's actually,
right?
I realize there's two. I don't follow any rule like all the way, but 2 rules I often use in composition for greebled surfaces, and one is 2s and 3s, 2s and 3s, and 2s and 3s, different ways. Like here, and those 3s can be any shape of a triangle, a vertical one, a squished one, a flat one, but it's a group of 3. And then the other one is I like compositions based on a Y, a big diagonal with another small diagonal coming off, perpendicular to it another place. Just a single Y this way or this way or this way often makes a much more interesting structure, I think, than, rectangles.
So, Wolferdus, personally, I also like to see my greebling in progress, build in the room for a few days to see if it works when I'm not working on it, and then add and try small strokes here and there. Exactly right, and that's exactly what we discovered with our water. And I think that's important with art in general, and also Lego building, is breaks. Like, it feels awesome to just like build an entire thing in a day or in a couple of hours or whatever. But I think being able to even just have an hour or 2 where you step away from it and then come back to it again, you see it differently. You see what works and what doesn't work because you're not 100% inside of it the entire time.
Well, there's a physiological thing that happens too, and I see this as a lighting designer, is you become accustomed to the colors that you're looking at, almost like, smelling too much perfume. You just get, blind to it. So if you go outside and reset that, just think about other things. You'll come in and you may see patterns that you wouldn't have seen otherwise. And I think we've talked about some tricks on and shown some examples on how you can actually do it and think your way through it. But in a sense, you have to feel your way through it, like with arranging flowers in a vase, right? You just have to feel what feels right.
Well, it's interesting too because when we did Snake Queen, I remember I spent hours on the show floor like patching holes in our rock work. Right,
technical work,
and half the time, the ones that were left, the holes that were left, I was like, oh, people are gonna be able to see them, and no one noticed them. And I will say that, like, by and large, people don't notice the little tiny things like that, but they do notice those subtle patterns and color changes. Like it's weird, like they It seems like it's not important, but it is. Exactly, it is exactly.
And it can be like we do some work that's more. And I don't want to look. I don't ever say art with a capital A, but I think about it a lot, right? I do think about it a lot, and sometimes our black and white work might be expressionist with these like vicious strokes of like 1x(n) and 2x(n) plates and like big hard diagonals and slashy, or other times it might be soft like an expressionist painting. With lots of circles and flows and where the colors like blend in these little ombres. But I think painters, know about Greebling, and sculptors know about Greebling.
Yeah, they just didn't call it that.
No.
They can call it something else.
Yeah, texture.
Gosh, well, that was
fun. I had fun.
Yes.
I don't know. Did you find that interesting?
I hope that you learned something new about Greebling and saw some ways to apply it. And I know, like, we didn't do any sort of like hands-on, but I felt like doing it hands-on isn't the same as seeing it completed, right? Like seeing it in situation, I think, is really important for that.
Well, I think it would be hard. I mean, we went into this some with the landscaping, how to, but I think it's hard to step-by-step instruct your way through Greebling. Like you know an interesting, realistic, or fascinating looking surface when you see it.
Exactly, and
that's the thing, is knowing to look for it, right? Because I've made models before. I've made houses with big flat walls with no structure on it. And I'm like, this is such a cool house, But had I known to look for big blank areas, I might have added more interest.
Exactly. And the same thing with color. Like it's, I think that again, it's not something that people notice right away. But if you intentionally limit your color palette with Greebling, I think it's much more effective than just kind of either doing it all one color, which can be effective for certain things like spaceships and such, or just like throwing everything that you can at it.
Oh, are you saying, just so I can parse that a little bit, are you saying that a heavily greebled surface that has lots of texture can be unified by your treatment of color with it?
Yes.
As opposed to having a highly textured surface that also has color all over the place, and then it's just chaos.
Yes.
You can combine, you can unify things and make it all part of more one structure.
Well, and it all comes back to what I was talking about when I did my when we did our ramshackle class at Bricks by the Bay, was organized chaos. Because that really is, like, if I had to, like, in my opinion, the best Greebling is organized chaos.
Well, okay. Here, I'll get all syrupy about it here. And again, like, coming from lighting design, you know what? A beautiful sunset is organized chaos, right? There's all these different clouds, and there's all the branches, and there's all the thing, and then there's the focus of the sun, and there's this beautiful ombre in the sky, right? All the textures are unified by this beautiful organized color that happens in a sunset.
Wow.
How about that?
That was very artsy.
Well, for me, as a lighting designer, the perfect sunset is my, that's the holy grail there.
Well, thank you everybody so much for joining us today. I hope that you got something out of it. I hope you learned something new, saw some new techniques, maybe saw a few new artists. Luke Hutchison, definitely check him out. Again, like Moto was saying, he's not as active anymore, but everything that he did up to the point that he stopped engaging so much.
It's not dated.
It's not dated. Like, it is absolutely applicable, and you can if you ever wondered where our style came from, I mean, if you saw the Clockman on Lego Masters was a perfect example. Like, we really brought all of those things we really brought all those things to that. So
I keep forgetting. I think about the things we built on Lego Masters as this like separate thing, but it's just part of the series of things we've built, right? It's part of our learning stuff.
Exactly. So gosh, well, let me see. I'm gonna don't forget, we have a challenge coming up. It's the Nothing But Nature, or aka All Flora, No Fauna. And all the rules are up on the website. The upload link is there. And don't forget, your challenge photos are due tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific time. I think there's a little bit of leeway in there. But you do try to get them in by 5 if you can. Mairead thanks you, and we thank you. And really great to see what everybody's going to be doing. It's all nature, no animals. We're trying to just see like what you can do with things that either grow out of the ground or created from nature: rocks, trees, grass, whatever that means to you. Hooded One's doing something. I'm very excited. Hooded One always has these amazing like graphical builds. That one with the crazy underside of the plates that was all that was like MC Escher level, like brain bending. It was amazing. Ms. Slowbrickta. I gotta say, Ms. Slowbrickta is one of our builders who jumped on Greebling right away. And I think that really shows in a lot of her work. Like she, the piece that she did with the house with the big river outside. Like there was lots of Greebling in that, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And I also think it's interesting that Greebling informs so much of our building in more than you would think. Like because it really isn't just relegated to spaceships and Star Wars. Like it's got so much more going on.
Well, I think you internalize it after a while, and it's also not one brush paints all, right? Like there's lots of pieces. Our square challenge, my Neue National Gallery Museum had no Greebling.
No, it was pretty
It was just smooth, slick.
I think it all has its place, right? Like it just depends on how you use it. So, anywho, don't forget to turn in those challenge photos. There's an upload link. You can also email them to challengephotos@TrickyBricks.com. If you want to get a hold of us, you can find us on Instagram @TrickyBricks, and we're closing in on 10,000 followers. I can't even believe it. That's crazy. You can email me, Flynn@TrickyBricks.com, if you have a thought or an idea or something you'd like to talk about. You can also send a snail mail, Richard and Flynn, P.O. Box 11517, Oakland, California, 94611.
Right on cue.
So very, and also too, there is a form. I don't know if, Minifig Chick is still here. If you could put the link up, we are actively taking submissions for build ideas, like build challenge ideas, and we have a bunch, but it would be great to have more.
Yeah, so we can roll a 20-sided die.
If you have an amazing build, what am I saying?
If you have an idea,
thank you. If you have an amazing idea
challenge
for a build challenge, hit it up, and we will credit you as the creator of the idea. So, and don't forget, we are doing for real. I'm going to start doubling down on this, and I apologize because we've kind of let it go for a long time, but we are trying to get to 2,000 subscribers, and when we do,
it's right there.
We're going to give away this Monkey Kid, Monkey King Warrior Mech model to a lucky viewer when we hit 2,000 subscribers. Ding, 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 ding. So let's get up to 2,000 subscribers so we can give this away. And you know what? If this is more, more impetus for people to get people, to help us find people to join. Once we get past the 2,000, then we have the Nebulon frigate from Moto to give away, and we have that giant Star Destroyer to give away. But none of that's going to happen until we get rid of that Monkey Kid, Monkey King Warrior mech to some lucky viewer. Because we don't have the room. I'm just saying. So anyway.
I know, Logan only has 3 beds.
Exactly. So if you...
okay, he has 2.
It's true.
And ours.
So everybody, again, thank you so much for joining us. We will be back on Friday at 10 a.m. with our Build Challenge slideshow, which we are... I love anything organic and nature in Lego, so I'm really excited to see what people come up with.
Well, we're going to put the PLA in plants. No, it's not PLA, though. That's you printing. Doggone it.
It's ABS, but you tried.
There's no ABS in plants. But now there's Lego bricks made out of plants.
It's true. It's true. Actually, and I was actually really excited to find out. Well, anyway, long story. So everyone, I know I saw Wilfred. So au revoir, everyone. I'm like, yeah, it's probably time limit.
Thanks for the cue, Wilfred.
Thanks everybody so much for joining us, and until we see you on Friday at 10 a.m., don't forget to stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands, wear your mask, get that flu shot if you still haven't gotten it, keep your distance, and we will see you next time.
Bye, everyone. Happy building.
Bye.